The Never Quit Podcast, sponsored and hosted by Quotes Jungle, with your host, Quote.
Welcome to another edition of the Never Quit Podcast. In the studio with me, I have Peter Roth. How you doing, Peter?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. How was the drive over here?
It was uneventful, and it was nice to get out of the house. I work from home all day, so coming over here was actually nice to get some air.
Tell the people why you love cigars so much.
I love cigars because it's what changed my life, I guess, for the better. It's the thing that, even though they kill you and all that kind of stuff, right? But it actually turned my life a lot better. It's what got me into business. It's the thing that I picked, when I was a early 20-something-year-old. I was like 23, I think. I wanted to start my own business. I knew I didn't want to work for someone because I was a terrible employee. I was the kind of guy that if you hired to work for you and things went missing, it's me. So I figured, you know what? I'm probably not really cutting out for work, working for other people. I should probably start my own thing. I was 23 years old. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. You have limited exposure to the world, done limited things with your life. Like 4 things, so I love cigars, and I found an opening. I found that there was like this missing area in South Denver that didn't have cigars in that whole wealthy neighborhood. And I was like, oh, let me open up a little cigar kiosk.
What is your worst experience as a cigar smoker thus far?
You've been to Robusto Room, so you know the place very well. I love that place, right? I mean, it defines an entire era of my life. It defined my 20s and 30s, right? So obviously it plays a monstrous role in my life. But I got burned out. I got super burned out. You do the same thing long enough that, you kind of just lose the passion for over time. And it's not the cigars. By the way, it wasn't the cigars. It was the people, You were in a bar, you're surrounded by alcoholics and cokeheads.
Absolutely.
It gets old.
Name me one person that you would absolutely despise spending 24 hours in a room with smoking a cigar. And you have to communicate with them.
Any conspiracy theorist, I guess. Any conspiracy theorist. Anyone who's too fucking serious about anything.
Yeah, I hear you.
Honestly, I'm just such a laid back person, and I'm so just chill about everything in life. I'm more worried about just paying bills, or at least used to be. That that's all the shit I had time for. So it's when I get people who just get real intense about politics or really anything for that matter, I'm like, how do you have the time to care? And I get it. People should care, and people should have a cause. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. But just some people are just way too into stuff, man. Where do you find the time to, enjoy your life if you're so into, your mission statement? I don't know. That's just me.
What is the biggest misconception that people get from cigar smoking? That
you inhale them and that you get sick from them and you get lung cancer from them. The smoke, goes around the air, so you're going to breathe some of it in, but you shouldn't be inhaling them, so that shouldn't be happening.
For those who aren't familiar, talk about the Robusto Room. It was a place that you ran for a while.
Yeah, man, that was, like I said, man, that defined, a decade and a half of my life, So started it when I was 29 years old and held on to it until I was 44, I think. Yeah, 44. So, it was an upscale cigar bar. Started off as a jazz club, too. I don't know if you knew this, but in the beginning, that's all we did was just jazz. And I'm huge into bebop, and I just love classic jazz. So that's what we started off as, was predominantly a jazz club with cigars. Jazz didn't sell, so I had to modify. You got to live and you learn, right? So you make modifications. So, we modified it, and I loved the modified version of it too. So we had amazing DJs like you, and, I loved those times, man. We had a great time together. So it turned into just this really amazing upscale cigar bar, but with a really, really fun clientele that you can't get. It doesn't, it doesn't exist anymore now, and there's nothing else like it, and then there hasn't been since, and who knows if there ever will be.
Do you ever miss it?
No.
You just told me cocaine, alcoholics, and I asked you if you missed it. Bizarre, correct?
I partied a lot in my day too, and I'm not shitting on that. I really am not. You do you, right? You do whatever is fun for you, and we all grow out of our stuff. But I just got tired of it. I just got tired of doing the same thing and dealing with the same people. But would I trade it in and change it? No.
Why don't you tell the people how you got into the HVAC business and your experiences at the Robusto Room? What led you to that?
Because I got sued at the Robusto Room. I got sued. My landlord wanted to actually evict me. So I even though we were obviously permitted to smoke cigars, clearly, right? We were a cigar bar. And so the landlord permitted me to smoke cigars, but none of us had any prior experience with that. So the smoke has a fancy, well, it rises, right? We know that. And it has a fancy way of seeping into like little nooks and crannies and finding open spaces and getting through them. So, you got neighbors, and it was kind of like a fancy, strip center, for lack of a better term. And so that smoke would find its way into places. And then I got pissed off neighbors complaining about smoke. So we would try to fix everything. We would go in and we'd seal up all the little nooks and crannies and all that kind of stuff. But there's stuff that you can't see. You got to get up into the floor joists, into the ceiling joists, and you can only reach so far. So we found that our neighbors, they were the ones that had these little penetrations leaking into their space. Well, we couldn't go into their space. I can't just go in there with a tool belt and start working in their space. And they wouldn't let us in. And the landlord didn't want to lift a finger because landlords, have this David and Goliath sort of a mentality. So nothing got done. So we ended up having to go to court twice. We go to court twice over both eviction lawsuits. We won both lawsuits, and we won attorney's fees back both times. But I poked at the bear too many times, Yeah, I won the money back, but still pissed off the bear at the end of the day, and only one guy gets to re-sign the lease. And when you piss him off enough times, he doesn't re-sign the lease anymore. So that's what happened there. How it turned into HVAC was literally behind this. I became an accidental HVAC pro. It's a really weird story. The judge basically said, he's like, all right, you win, but you still got to do something about it, right? You still have to make these changes. You still got to figure out a way to mitigate the smoke. Like, I'm not just I'm not letting you off the hook. I'm letting you off of this court case, but so go do something about it. So then I had to call a bunch of HVAC companies, which I knew nothing about. I knew as much as HVAC as the average person knows how to turn the temperature up and down. That's all I knew. So I called a bunch of HVAC companies, and they came out and give me, these are commercial HVAC companies. These are the big boys, So they'd come out and they'd give me these ridiculously high quotes. And what I didn't know at the time is that they weren't even real quotes. They were like the go away quote. They were quoting me a number so high just to get me to go away. And idiot that I was, I took them. So I took these quotes. Sorry, not your nickname. So I took these quotes and paid them. I ended up spending over $150,000 in HVAC equipment over the course of several years. And just because of the course of time over just getting my ass handed to me from these companies and these mega bills, I just learned how to circumvent a lot of these issues and learn how to kind of not do it myself, but learn how to find other guys who could do it for cheaper. And so that's how I got into HVAC. And one of the guys who was kind of just like an independent proprietor dude, knew HVAC real well. He and I became really good friends and became like excellent friends. He ended up basically was willing to do all kinds of work around the bar, including HVAC, electrical, plumbing, just anything. And he would do it for Bud Light, like literally Bud Light.
Wow.
And this wasn't me trying to lowball him. Like, he would ask for Bud Light.
Okay.
And I was like, you sure? And he's like, yeah, Bud Light. I'm like, okay, Bud Light. So that's, and he drank a lot of Bud Light. But
I'm sure.
It was, still didn't, I still came out ahead on that one. So he and I became really good friends. And one day he comes up to me and he's like, hey, do you want to start an HVAC company? He goes like, that's my thing. I'm good at that. And your business runs itself. Do you want me to do the heavy lifting and you run the sales and marketing? Went back and forth a few times and eventually said yes. And so that's how we got into it.
What's your favorite cigar that you've smoked thus far? Top 3.
Most Padrones, most Ashtons. And then if I get my hands on a Cuban, then a Cuban Bolivar.
What's your favorite food?
I eat a lot of pho. I love pho. My daughter and I are addicts to pho.
Okay.
That's especially in the wintertime.
How long have you been on that crave?
Oh, God. 10, 15 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
Russia. Well, Ukraine. Well, Hungary. Pick. It's weird. The borders changed. So at the time when I was there, it was Soviet Russia. But before that, it was Hungary. And then it turned back to Ukraine. So it just depends on what decade you're looking at that part of the world. Basically
explain to the people what's your cultural background or what you want to share.
Culturally, I guess culturally I'm Hungarian, but the Russian invasion was so invasive that like everybody just became like, you had to go to Russian schools, you had to learn Russian. So everybody just kind of de facto became Russian culturally. I was young when we left. I was only 2 years old when my family immigrated here, so I didn't even learn to speak. I speak Hungarian, but I never got to speak Russian.
Tell the people what you're doing nowadays with solar.
A lot. I'm doing quite a few different things. So after HVAC, here's how I got into solar from HVAC. So I was in HVAC, and I'm going into people's homes and selling them all these amazing things that they needed for their home and creating all these great relationships with these homeowners. And they would have bought a lot more stuff from me, but I didn't have anything to sell them, anything beyond what I was already selling them. And so I was like, I got to find something else I can sell. And fast forward, and it just became solar. That just became the obvious answer because I didn't have to actually go install it myself. We would find other people to do the installation, but we would then make a good amount of money on selling the actual system for people. So, and it's a win-win because, the people end up saving even way more. So it's a win for everybody. So I got into solar because that's how I started. And then we sold the HVAC company. So we exited out of that. We did well there. And then I just transitioned full-time into solar. So now I do a few different things in solar. So, we do residential solar sales. So we'll put, solar up on people's homes. I have a marketing agency for solar companies and for solar pros, sales pros, who want more leads and more ways to sell them and do a better job of selling.
Talk about the benefits of solar from your perspective.
It's really easy. People way overcomplicate it. Honestly, there's a couple ways that the average homeowner can go solar. The most common way is to take out a loan for it. That's what most people do. And that's fine. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's not my preferred way to do it. But so the idea, it's really simple. The idea is that you take out a loan for the whole thing. You don't have to come out of pocket any money, nothing like that. So the average homeowner will take out a loan for the whole solar, and the monthly payments on it will be cheaper than what you're currently spending on your electric bill. So you win. It's really that simple. And then there's a 30% federal tax credit, so that lowers the price even more. So it's like whatever the loan is, just subtract 30% off of it, and that now makes your payments even 30% cheaper. So now everything I said, make it 30% better. It's that simple. And then the other way is the way that we do it. So we have a unique product here in Colorado. We call it the No Loan Solar Program. So we do all of that, except you don't have to take out the loan. My company essentially pays to put the solar on your roof. You get the end net result benefit, which is cheaper power, and you didn't have to take out the big ugly loan. That's how we do it.
Tell the people why you love beef jerky so much.
Why do I love beef jerky so much? Why do you like DJing so much, quote?
I just love music,
And I just love beef jerky. Okay. You want to fight about it?
No, not at all. What is the most challenging thing that you've experienced thus far as a businessman?
Everything. Everything. What is there not to, owning a business is challenges every day. You own a business, right?
Yes.
How many easy days a year do you have?
0.
I was going to say 2, 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's about right. Every day is a challenge, man. And that's why most people don't make it. It's not because there's something wrong with the business. It's just that most people just stop right before they hit success. So, but it's tough, because as well as I do, it's like what separates an idiot from a brilliant person, right? Doing the same, what's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing, expecting different results, but yet at the same time, what's the definition of a brilliant business owner? Doing the same thing just because you got to put in the reps. Now, you're not doing the same thing because you're making tiny little iterative differences every single time, right? But you need to put in the reps.
Who is somebody you looked up to as a child?
My dad. Yeah, my dad was the one that kind of taught me entrepreneurism. He was the one that taught me sales. He was the one that taught me how to ask for things that you don't ask, you don't get. He's the one that, I want to say this funny story about my dad. My dad turned negotiation borderline gross. He would, my dad could walk up to a Coke machine and be like, I'll give you 25 cents.
Okay.
That was my dad. And I was like, Dad, come on. I'm like, because he would negotiate with people just bloodied. He would just, like to the point where it's like, Dad, like, the other guy's got to feel somewhat good about the, transaction too. He forgot, he's old school. My dad is old school mentality, old, Eastern European immigrant mentality where it's like, I win and no one else wins, And then there's, over generations that notion becomes more refined, where you realize it's like both parties have to win. There has to be a relationship. Without the relationship, then it's always a one-time transaction, and you're never going to get rich doing over and over just little one-time transactions. You need to build relationships.
Absolutely. If you could change anything in society today, what would you change?
Oh, I definitely know. I'd revamp I'd revamp our education system. I would revamp what we teach kids in school. I can't stand that kids have to learn trigonometry. Like, fucking why? Why? Like, I can't tell you. I've owned so many businesses. Never once have I had to do anything beyond like basic division, and even that I barely ever do. You know, so it's like, why on earth are we teaching our kids all these nonsense subjects instead of the things that actually matter in life, like how to pay your bills and how not to overdraft your checking account, and how to pay your taxes, and how to save money for the future, how to invest in a business, how not to loan your friends money and get ripped off? Like, why? Why do we teach them completely useless things? It boggles my. I don't understand I assume that I'm not a conspiracy theorist, which I mentioned earlier, but like, I assume that like there's got to be someone somewhere, some deep seedy organization out there that is, you know, causing this to happen, because it's like, how is this benefiting our society at all? Where our kids are growing up and they have no real life skills. So that's the thing that would change 100%.
Tell me something in life that you've experienced thus far that you regret doing and you did it.
Not taking college seriously enough, and going to college, both at the same time. So if you're going to go to college, which I don't think you have to at all, but if you're going to go, then at least take it seriously, right? Like, if you're going to spend someone's money, and I spent my parents' money, they were cool enough to pay for the whole thing. God bless their hearts. I would never do that even for my own kid, you know. And I told her that. I'm like, you want to go to college? That's on you. I mean, like, I don't think it's a great idea. And my parents paid for it, and I didn't take it seriously. And I remember my mom like warning me. I remember her like telling me, don't get a bullshit degree. And it was just in one ear and out the other. I just didn't listen. And I don't know if it was a combination of like, I think it was just them not really putting their foot down hard enough and just telling me straight up. It's like, well, if you want to major in that bullshit degree, then you're paying for it, because we're not doing that for you. And that's my biggest thing. Like, I wish I had done something more serious.
Where did you go to school at?
I went to Syracuse University for 2.5 years. Then I went to Budapest University of Economic Sciences, and then I went to Oxford for a year. And it sounds great, like sounds cool on paper, right? And it got me certain places, but it was useless education. It was the paper that helped. And I get it. Like, sometimes paper is cool. I'm not arguing that point. But unless it's a top 10 university that everyone knows, you know, big brand name university, otherwise, don't waste your time.
If you could come back as any animal or anything living, once you leave us here on Earth, your spirit, what would you come back as and why?
That is so easy. My dog. I mean, without question, my own dog. That guy's got the best goddamn life ever. You know, he eats, he farts, he sleeps, he does nothing useful at all. And everyone just loves him. He looks like he crawled out of a trash can, and just everyone loves him all the more for it. My dog.
This podcast is called the Never Quit Podcast. I want you to share with the people a time where you should have quit and you didn't quit.
There is none.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Work. It's weird. I know. I like to work. The only hobby that I really have anymore now is I like to go clay shooting. That's weird. You know, that's like the only thing that I have found that actually kind of like clears my mind. So I like to do that. I'll go like maybe once every 2 weeks. But otherwise, I'm a freaking workaholic, man. Like, I love working. It's the thing that I like live, sleep, and breathe about. That's what I study. It's what I watch TV on. It's what I do even when when I close my laptop, I open it right back up again. I put on YouTube and I start watching educational stuff. Work. I mean, I love business. It's literally the thing that I love to do.
Where would you say that work ethic came from? Your father?
I think it came just from my cultural upbringing. I think it's just from being an immigrant. I don't really entirely even know for sure, because sometimes you don't even know how you got certain traits about yourself. They're just there, you know. But I think it just comes from a cultural thing. Just because, like, immigrants, you know, any immigrant, doesn't have to be my culture, just any immigrant family, like, they all deal with the same challenges. You know, they come here, they have no education, and even if they do, my dad was a chemical engineer from Ukraine. He had a master's in chemical engineering. Do you have any idea how much attention I got him here in the U.S.? Nothing. To clean toilets, literally.
Wow.
Like literally, I'm not saying that figuratively. He literally had to clean toilets. So I think it's just it's the culture of being an immigrant, is that like you come here and you just got to hustle because you just don't have a choice. It's not because it's sexy. It's not because it's cool. It's not because what the other kids are doing. It's just because you don't have a choice. And you can't go get a normal job like most Americans can, because most Americans can just walk in and say, "Hi, I'm American. Give me a job." They walk in with this thick ass accent and can barely even speak any English, and no one takes them seriously. So they got to figure shit out on their own. I think that's where it came from.
Where are some places that you want to travel when you're not going to be working yourself to death?
Now, my travel has changed. I'm getting older, so now my travel is more about just relaxing. It used to be a little bit more kind of, getting off the beaten path and doing fun and exciting things, and been to Southeast Asia a lot, and I love that area, love that part of the world. Now I'm just more about just chilling out and relaxing, because even when I go on vacation, I'm still working, so it's like wherever I go, I still got to be able to have enough time and, be able to just, open up my laptop and get a lot of work done here and there.
For somebody who wanted to get into cigar smoking, what would your advice be to them?
Just go into a cigar shop and just talk to the people there. That's really the best thing, because they'll kind of point you in the right direction. They know how to ask the right questions, so they'll point you around. They'll tell you where to start.
So for somebody who wanted to start a business, what advice would you give them from top to bottom from your perspective?
First of all, it's hard. That's just needs to be really clearly drawn in the sand. It's hard. There's no question about that part. There's no such thing as get rich. Well, there actually is such a thing as get rich quick. It's very rare, but there's no such thing as get rich easy. That part, forget it. That doesn't exist. Some people do get rich quick, but forget it. If your plan is to start a business and you think you're going to get rich quick, just don't. Then don't start a business. But not everyone is cut out to start a business. First of all, you should have an honest assessment of yourself to figure out, am I the kind of person that is willing to work minimum 10 hours a day, upwards of 14 to 16 hours a day, doing the thing that I love? And that's the most important part, is it's got to be something that you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate, there's no way you can put in that many hours. It's just not possible. You know that. You've been doing this stuff long enough to know, you can't just half-ass that sort of thing. It's going to suck out every bit of energy in your entire life. So you have to be able to replenish that energy, and that only comes from passion. So find something you're passionate about. I can't guide you there. Find something that you're passionate about. And then it's a constant trial and error. It's going to be a shit ton of failure. That is, I think, one of the most important things that people need to know, is that none of the brilliant minds in our world, none of the Elon Musks or the Bezoses or any of those people, none of them made it the first time around. All of them failed numerous times. And they all got back up again, right? It's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get up. And you're going to fall down a lot. And so that's the thing. It's if you're still the kind of person who's at home playing video games, don't start a business. I'm just telling you right now. Don't waste your time. Keep your job. When you're ready to put down the video games, and when you're ready to stop watching sports on the weekend, and when you're ready to really, really commit to something, then you're ready. And then you can have the work ethic to move forward. If you're still doing video games and sports on weekends and watching Netflix at night, it's unlikely you're going to work out. Very unlikely. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
What is your biggest take that you've learned as a businessman thus far? Besides not getting sleep.
Yeah.
It's hard as shit.
The failure part is definitely the hardest, I think, for most people, because you don't know when to, number one, there is no finish line. Business is not like a light switch. It's not like off, on, failure or success. There does come a point at which you start making money, so it feels like that light switch is on, but that light switch can be turned off so goddamn quickly and ripped out from underneath you. And that is a very sobering day in every business owner's life when that happens, and it happens to everybody. So it's not a light switch. It's an infinite game. It's not a finite game. There's no score to be kept. You have to do it for the love of the game, for the love of the business. Pro players, pro ball players of any sport, they don't do it because of the score. They do it because they love the goddamn game. They've committed their whole lives to the game. That's their passion. That's their business. Those guys live, sleep, and breathe in the same way that entrepreneurs do. They bleed, literally and figuratively. They bleed their game, and so that's the level of commitment. And they're not sitting around playing games. They're practicing.
Where can people find you nowadays? You said that you teach and you educate on a few subjects, correct? Can you tell the people where they can find you?
I do train people to actually enter into the solar space. So if you're thinking about, actually, one of the things I tell people is that, like, if you want to get into business, but you want to kind of want to inch your way in, go and start in sales. Because sales is a really fantastic way of getting a taste for what it feels like to own your own business, right? Because you get the freedom and you have the ability to really kind of set your own income. People throw that term around a lot really loosely, but they don't realize it's a super powerful concept. Like in sales, and please, I don't mean like customer service sales. I don't mean like, Best Buy. I mean like, high ticket sales. Find something high ticket or very, very high volume. Find something that's serious, and it's not the kind of thing you're going to find driving down Main Street America. It's the thing you're going to have to go do some research on. But find something that you can sell that yields you a pretty high commission per sale. I'm a big fan of high ticket versus high volume because I just get a kick out of knowing that the thing that I just said just made me enough money in one day, what most people make in a month or a year. That just excites me, so that's what gets me out of bed. So find that thing and then just start studying it. You actually don't have to be like a phenomenally well-trained classical salesperson. You'll learn it as you go and find a good company that will actually help train you. And then that'll make your life a lot easier. But I train people on how to become solar pros.
So you don't have to have any experience in it. You can pretty much coach them. Awesome. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah. So you can find me on Facebook or on Instagram, and you'll have my links and stuff like that. But yeah, you can message me if that's something that, if that's something you want to take a look at. I'm happy to talk to you. I'll show you how to do it.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now besides working?
Yeah, still working. Probably traveling a little bit more and working a little bit less.
Okay.
But still always working. I literally don't ever see myself stopping. I see that as torture, honestly. Like that to me sounds like, I talk to people all the time who are retired. Those are a lot of my clients who are retired. And I cannot wrap my mind around the notion and the idea of just doing nothing. It sounds gross to me. It actually sounds gross. I got to be doing something.
I know you're a busy person. If you could have more hours in the day and you were capable, what's another business you would take on right now?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think that's a big fallacy, and it's a big problem. It's a big fallacious thought that a lot of people have is that, if I had more time or more money, I would get into this other business, and that's I think where most people end up failing. Is because they end up splitting themselves too thin. Imagine how much more successful you could be in your life if you only had to specialize in one specific thing. Right? Like if I just told you, hey, if you didn't have to do the gym anymore and you didn't have to do family life and you didn't have to take care of kids and wives and all that stuff, all you had to do was this podcast. That's it. Would you feel easier? Would that be easier for you? Would that lighten up your workload and feel a little bit easier? I'm like, that's the only thing I got to do. See my point? Like, so if you take away all the noise and you only had to focus on one thing, suddenly it becomes easy. It's like, yeah, then I would just do this and I would do that and I would add in this new channel and advertise over here and get this guest and do that thing. It's like suddenly it cuts all the noise out and it becomes really easy to kind of envision where you're supposed to go. But now if I told you, hey, but now you got to run the gym and now you got to take care of your family and now you got to do this, side gig on the weekends and you got to go DJing and you got to go that, and you're like, that's a lot. Right? It's a lot. And like, how are you supposed to be great at all those things? It's hard. So I wouldn't.
Awesome.
I would double down on the thing I'm doing.
Okay. And just put more energy and effort into that to just make it more precise.
Because you know as well as I do, like none of us are maxing out the thing that we're doing. That's bullshit. If you
Absolutely
think you are,
not.
you're deluding yourself.
Yes.
None of us are maxing out the thing that we're doing. So max out the thing that you're doing. And I'm telling you, you could spend a lifetime maxing out any one particular aspect of the thing that you're doing. So do that. It's what's been the most life-changing thing, right? I mean, for who isn't it, right? It's an amazing part of my life. I love my daughter. I love spending time with her. That probably is the one thing that gets me away from working because it has to, because I can't bore her to death talking about business. She'd kill me. So that's like the one thing where that does take away, that does force me to get away from work. So it's a good thing.
You have 30 seconds to look into that camera and convince somebody why they should go solar. Convince them.
That is super, super simple. Take a look at your average electricity bill add it up over the course of 12 months, find the average, right? So just whatever your average bill is, say it's $200, whatever, $150, find the average of it. I can promise you that when you go solar, the payments on the solar system will be lower than what you're currently paying now, and your electric bill goes away. Okay, so you stop paying for electric, you only pay for solar, but it'll be less than what you're paying now, and it never goes up. Your electric company is constantly raising your rates, solar does not. So 20 years from now, when all your neighbors are paying double for their power, you'll still be paying that old rate from 20 years ago. There you go. Now you're a genius.
Tell the people where they can find you, your websites, and spell out your website if you can, and your name on social media so nobody gets it wrong.
The best is probably Facebook. I think that's probably where I'm most active. So my business is getsolarwise.com. Just, pull that name up on Facebook. You'll find me there. Peter Roth on Facebook. My Instagram is getsolarwise also. So yeah, easy to find.
Thank you for your time, Peter.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of the Never Quit Podcast with Peter Roth. I hope you've learned something, been educated, and learned that you can't be a successful business person with wasting time and playing video games.
That's right.
Peace.
Thanks.